do, handing it over to Jacques, who, and I quote, leads Raindrop, the most successful creative agency ever to build on YouTube. Thank you.
Thank you, Duggan. That's awesome.
That's a stat from Google.
Yeah, well, she said quote, so there's like an asterisk. I don't know which one that was. Hey, look, you're joining me after lunch, right? So the only thing I'm going to ask of you is one, eye contact. I'm looking over at Steven, Jeroen. Thanks for sitting in the front. That's brave. The other thing is this will be something where the beginning of this, I'm going to ask for participation. And the second half of this, well, I'm going to age myself. I grew up in an era where when the teacher was out, we would roll in Bill Nye the Science Guy. I'll be showing a lot of video the second half of this. I think Brett obviously showed a lot of video. So I'm going to be showing you not only what is working or has worked, but what is working today. What's really fun, my favorite part about doing this is now probably the third year we've done something like this. And half of the case studies in here are people who were sitting here and were like, maybe we should do this. I don't know. Pretty Litter's up there. For All's up there. That are now absolutely killing it on YouTube. In fact, I ran into a client here today. I'm not going to put him on the spot. He was doing $8 million a year 2 years ago. He's doing over $200 million run rate now. And he added YouTube as a huge driving channel for brand awareness and for conversion for the brand. So let's get into it. I think in the future, I'm just going to wear this for this talk. Because like everyone dresses like, everyone dresses like this. We're going to be talking a little bit today about what it takes to achieve exit velocity. The reason I use that is I see so many brands who try YouTube and they decide it doesn't work, it can't work, they turn it off, and it's so sad. It's like watching a rocket go up and then come crashing back down to gravity. They move on to other things. They never crack a channel that could transform their business. So let's get warmed up. Some of you have maybe seen me do this before. It's one of my favorite little exercises. So I have two friends. And I want you to tell me which of these friends you want to meet. The first is a friend who's nice. He's there for me, and he makes me laugh. I have a couple of you in the room that might fill that bucket. But more importantly, some of you might have a friend who is kinder than Gandhi, has my back like it's his own, and is basically an amateur comedian. Which of these two friends do you want to meet? Who wants to meet the first friend who's nice? And who wants to meet the friend who's kinder than Gandhi? Everyone is over here. Okay, I'm gonna blow your mind in a second. They're the same friend, okay? I think that, the reason I start with this, and I think about this quite a bit. We're gonna have Bill up here later. This is a baseball analogy. But I always think about the difference between like a home run and a pop fly or a ground out is like this much. And so as we go through the presentation today, a lot of these things are like, wow, I didn't realize that if it took me this long to get to the brand, it's going to fail. Or if I bring their brand in too fast, it's just a simple pop-up. So we're going to be going through that. All of these things, the intentionality and the level of detail is the difference between coming across as the bland brand versus the one that people want to be a part of. Is another thing psychologically that I like to do. I want you to know, I want you to vote. I'm going to look at every hand. Of these two boxer briefs, which one do you think sold more? Did we sell more of the plain gray boxers? I see you take a picture, Brett. Come on. That's awkward. Plain gray boxers or Team Screamin' Eagle boxers? Who thinks this brand sells more gray boxers? Let me see your hands. And how many of you think they sell more Eagle boxers? All right. So the answer is they sell more gray boxers. But here's where I'm going to blow your mind. Which of these two photos sells more gray boxers? Since I did it over here, I have to do it over here. Screamin' Eagle sells more gray boxers. Okay? If I literally just walk off the stage, this is the game that we're playing, right? Without attention, people don't give a shit. They don't listen. They don't click. They don't buy. And a lot of us are over here trying to be like, look how great we are. And we want people to buy in. All right. I think I could skip this because I understand a lot of you are not currently leveraging YouTube in the way that you'd like. And you're like, I'm here. That's what I want to learn. So I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. But I am gonna say this is one of my biggest takeaways. I would buy this coffee from Bird Rock. They're in San Diego. Delicious coffee. And I'd walk into them and I'd say, I buy your coffee. How come it tastes so much better in here? Is it because it comes in your little white branded cup? Like, why? And they're like, well, do you weigh the beans before you make it? I'm like, no. They're like, do you use a burr grinder? I'm like, no. Do you use ultra filtered water with the perfect amount of minerals? I'm like, no. And they're like, and you expect it to taste the same? Why? And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, here I was thinking I was doing the thing, and I realized I was just missing so much more context that would allow me to make a better cup of coffee. So please realize that YouTube is worth figuring out. It doesn't work for every single brand, but almost every brand can benefit from YouTube. We can get into that, but again, it can work. Why? Much lower CPMs. I mean, a lot of people, CPMs might be $30, $60 on Meta, on TV, on CTV. It's way cheaper to reach people. It works with every single age range. In fact, check out this spread. I mean, you have everything from the people who actually have the money right here. You're not supposed to laugh, but it's true. It's like 90% of the nation's wealth is 56 plus. And then you have everyone else. You can reach parents, children, everybody on YouTube. And we're going to go through all three of those different things that, I'll go back a slide here, all these different reasons why it doesn't quite work out for some people, and what we can do to see this be a success. I think the most important thing, as I found out today, 21, baby, where you at, Wealth? 21, just found out, 21 campaigns with more than 10 million YouTube views. Those are scalable views. So we're not asking this to go viral. We are asking it to be something that can be a workhorse to build brand equity and to sell. A big part of our story was growing Dr. Squatch from $3 million a year in sales to hundreds of millions of dollars a year in sales. And YouTube was the channel that helped them break out and grow that brand. They ended up selling for $1.5 billion to Unilever. That gave us the opportunity to launch Groons. We were the first advisors, investors in that brand, and developed. Chad came to us with an original design and a name, and we developed the brand from the ground up with him. And they are now also one of our largest clients. That's my shoulder shack shimmy, because that felt good. We've also worked with Mr. Beast. I don't talk about it elsewhere because usually it's like, what does that matter? But his team reached out. We helped relaunch Feastables through this paid lie detector video, and it was a ton of fun. So let's do this. I think one of the things that if like every call I have with somebody and they're like, well, how come it doesn't work? What's the deal? I want us to all in the collective room say, unless you are one of these brands, YouTube's not set up for you out of the box. These are the brands that are spending a lot of money, and out of the box, this is who it needs to work for. I have a friend in the room that was like, yeah, I work with a major, we'll say like a Disney-like thing to launch a movie brand, right, or a movie trailer. I'm like, they're going to spend $30 million on that, whether it's performing or not. Right? Like, these are brands that the platform's set up for. And so why does that matter? It matters because all of the best practices you get are sometimes limiting or they're incorrect for if you're looking to actually sell product and actually grow your brand using the platform. These are some of the things that I'm on a call with Google and they'll say, well-meaning to brands, they'll say, well, where was I here? I'm like, the first one is that, hold on. Oh, okay, this one. I mean, how many times have you thought, oh man, I need my logo or the product to show up in the first 2 seconds or I'm wasting my money, right? Like that is actually the biggest one that I see. It's like, that's the wisdom of like, you have to like make the logo bigger right away. And also in the targeting of these things, a lot of times they'll talk about, well, let's target who we want to see it. But what they won't talk about is everything you have to exclude. So like, if your ad's running during like people's listening experience to music, in front of kids programming when you sell makeup, right? Like it won't make sense, but out of the box, you might be putting yourself into certain categories, but not excluding things which can be just as important. So if you want your ads, and this is not, I'm not giving advice for like, if you have a new movie coming out and you want everyone to see it, if you have a brand doing 10 million, 100 million, 200 million, and you want it to sell as much product in the moment as possible, how long should your ad be? A, 15 seconds, B, 30, C, 60. I'll let you lock in your answer. All right, so this is interesting. For years, we had brands coming to us and more importantly, media partners coming to us being like, this is like, we need 6s and 15s. And that's still primarily the case. We get that all the time. But if you actually want to sell something, you're actually better off having it be somewhere between 1 and 4 minutes. I actually looked using Google. What are the most ideal lengths for YouTube ads? Look at this. It actually gave me the right answer. I thought that was interesting, right? I'm like, next time Google tells you that, just be like, you got to Google it. 60 to 90 seconds. It is what we see over and over again. Why? People don't have short attention spans. They have short consideration spans. When we go through the work and the examples, what you'll feel is that like it dares you to skip it in the sense of like, it's got to be just as interesting as a Mr. Beast video in that first 10 seconds or you're done. They're not there to watch your ad. And that is massively important, but they will stick around to watch. Now this is just for this room. This is my biggest unlock in my career. I'm not joking. I took those 20 to 21 ads and I started thinking to myself, I wonder what the average amount of time it takes before we actually mention the brand is. Is there anything that I see over and over again? This is hugely important. You have either 1 to 6 seconds, that's the conventional wisdom, B, C, or D. Super important. Here we go. The answer is C. I don't think we've ever had, and this is actually the biggest mistake I see, is actually more on this end. People will get a little bit self-indulgent with their openings, and they won't bring the brand in until like 28 seconds in. We've done it, right? I'm not saying like, as an agency, we've done this, but as we've learned more and more, most of our best performing ads wait somewhere between 12 and 19 seconds before introducing the brand, which means we're spending that much time getting you interested in what the heck we want to talk about in the first place. And I love, love, love quotes from the past. It's from 1923. This is before, I believe, the radio, before television, before the internet. The more you tell, the more you sell has never failed in any test. An ad with twice a copy brings twice the returns. And this is also Ogilvy, 1983. General advertisers use 30-second commercials, but the direct response fraternity have learned that it's more profitable to use 2-minute commercials. I'm convinced that if all advertisers were to follow the example of their direct response brethren, they would get more sales per dollar. So there you are. That's before the internet, right? I'm just pointing like those are probably two of the most famous advertisers in history, talking about the more you tell, the more you sell. And why is it? The longer people spend with you, your product, everything else, they get more information about your product or services, and it qualifies them. A lot of times people, I don't think they think about like, oh, okay, if I see a UGC ad or a static on Meta and I click to the landing page. I mean, how many of you, just the other day, I see an ad, I click on it, I get to the landing page and I'm like, what do they do? And how much does it cost? And what is this? Like, I don't even, and you're just like, you bounce, right? And so having a longer video allows you to take people through the entire process, allows you to build this connection. I remember Dr. Squatch coming back to us, especially during the explosive growth of TikTok, and they realized the cohort data on the TikTok audience was, the LTV was like a fraction of what they were getting through the YouTube audiences that were being exposed to longer ads, that were deeper entrenched in their brand. It builds a massive amount of connection. Also, just the reality is the more time you spend with anyone or any brand, it endears you to them. You know, it just is. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people today that I haven't seen in a while. It's like we spend some time together, it endears you to people, right? You feel like you know them. Same is true of brands. So when we look at the creative, we often ask ourselves, you know, what is our biggest competitor? A lot of times we think of our competition as people are selling similar products in similar categories. And what we found is, the bottom line is that a lot of times the competitors actually help drive the category into a bigger TAM or total addressable market that could actually be really good. The biggest thing you're fighting is the reticular activating system. And this is, I'll give you an example. How many of you took a car here today or walked? Okay, just about everyone. I'm curious, did you take the subway? What else did you do? Okay, at some point, you probably saw some cars. Can anyone specifically recall a single car they saw today? I can't. But if this green Lamborghini drove by, and I asked you right now, hey, did anyone here see a green Lamborghini out front before this? Some of you would raise your hand and be like, yeah, I saw a green Lamborghini. Because like for me, I see a green Lamborghini, and my mind goes, oh, that's a bold choice. And I think to myself, like, well, I wonder what would drive someone to be like, I need a green Lamborghini, not a green Lamborghini. And I'm like, but like if you hit a Lamborghini, what does it do to your insurance premiums? Like, am I the only one? I just like, my mind, I don't think about like if it's a gray Honda Civic, my mind doesn't go there. And so whether it's my friend who's kinder than Gandhi or the green Lamborghini, all of or heck, Eagle boxers, this is what we are up against. A lot of people are creating gray Honda Civic creative in a world that needs a green Lamborghini. And I'll give you kind of an example of that. This is, if you want to take a picture of this, you can, but these are kind of like the rules that we stay away from. You know, anything that is us or we, that's a big no-no. It's always you. Whenever we're talking to an audience, we always say, you like this, instead of we believe, or if you're like us, right? It might feel more inviting, but you're not talking to people directly. Also, a ton of people will do like contextual stage setting pieces. We were actually just working with Steven on a thing. The team came back, beautiful shots of like a downtown skyscraper. You know, I was like, I'd skip that shit. Like, you got to give me something. Like, give me something in those first couple seconds. Don't give me context. A lot of times with context shots, it's like maybe it's a shot of like a busy city, or I don't have to go on and on about context, but it doesn't have empathy for the person who's hovering over that skip button. Like, yeah, I don't want to see your ad. You really got to be mindful about that. The other thing I get a lot is, does it have to be funny to sell on YouTube? The answer is no, but it does need to be entertaining. It's a fine line. I'm going to show you some examples in a bit that kind of walk that line. But I like to explain to people that you are in a world where people are watching makeup tutorials, product reviews, prank shows, cute animal videos, their favorite clips from their reality television. Maybe they're trying to learn something. That's the ecosystem you are in. And it's like, if you show up to someone's really, really fun, cool party, and you're dressed in like a gray suit, and you're like, so, you ready to party? they'd be like, you're a narc. And so, I mean, but like we laugh, but I'm like, I'm about to show you a Tide ad that shows up to the YouTube party like it's a narc. And so it is a very real challenge where we have to meet people where they're at. This is the revolution that the internet is creating. And it's interesting because like Nate was up here speaking earlier. I got Barry right here. I kid you not, this guy right here is world class at what we're about to look at. This is the traditional storyline. I need you to realize that for thousands of years, this is how we told stories. In fact, almost every movie you see has some opening. It has essentially assumed attention, and then it builds to some sort of huge climax. And earlier I mentioned that people don't have short attention spans, they have short consideration spans. It's because we have to tell stories in a new arc now. It's entirely different. There's no luxury of assuming attention. And I think one of the things that's really fascinating is I think when people love their brand or their work, they're so close to it that they lose, and this happens to even me at times, where it's like, if I really want something to be, I really love, I feel like it's my brand or whatever, I get too close to it, and I'm like, I'm not brutally honest. Is this something that like I would stick around for, right? And so that's honestly one of the biggest things I feel like we bring to brands is just be like, yeah, I get that that's important to you, but people just aren't going to care. They're not going to watch it. I know you want to say that. That's not what they're going to hear. And so we always start high. You'll feel this as I go through the examples here in a moment, and I want to make sure I leave time for that. So I'm going to race ahead to these. Okay, whoa.
Really had our hands.
So I want to show you this first ad. It is from one of the biggest brands and biggest advertisers in the world, with the most sophisticated testing data, with the most expensive agencies. I want you to watch it and tell me if you've seen this ad before. Not literally, but just in a general way.
We really had our hands full with our 2-year-old.
Yeah, so naturally, we doubled down with a new puppy.
Sure, they're twice as cute together, but now we've got double the stains.
And double the odors.
Thankfully, we also have Tide Ultra Oxy with odor eliminators. It can handle double trouble because it's the #1 stain fighter.
And the #1 odor remover.
I thought you guys were helping.
For the #1 stain fighter and odor remover, it's got to be Tide.
Okay, so I'm not picking on Tide. I want to be clear. But like, that's 80% ads, right? I want you to be honest with yourself. How many of you, if I weren't to point it out, would organically see that ad and think about it 5 years from now? Oh, you laugh. I, in all seriousness, but I'm like, okay, that was you could just feel how that was briefed. And that ran on television. Yes, that ran on YouTube, and probably ran on YouTube in 15 seconds, 6-second varieties, right? I now want to play you another ad, a challenger to this category, who's massively growing right now. And we helped them launch from the ground up. It's been 5 years, and they're really having a moment right now. I want you to watch this and just feel the difference.
Unfortunately, it's really good.
My life was simple, predictable, routine. My boyfriend wanted to try it. Said he saw it on the internet. I should have known.
And it's ruined everything else for me.
When I started using.
From the second I started using laundry sauce, the world's best smelling laundry pods, lost my girlfriend, got 4 new ones.
I lost my job in middle management. They made me CEO. So much power.
People just can't get enough of this Indonesian patchouli.
French saffron. Australian sandalwood.
Egyptian rose.
Siberian pine.
And other smells have become meaningless. Get out of my life, you beautiful smelling pod! I never used to think about laundry.
It was just a boring chore.
Now I can't stop.
If you value your alone time,
If you want your life to stay exactly like it is and never change or get better,
If you want your laundry day to stay boring,
if you want your laundry and your life to smell average,
If you don't want to feel like a literal movie star every time you do laundry,
don't go to laundrysauce.com.
don't go to laundrysauce.com. Don't go to laundrysauce.com.
don't go to laundrysauce.com.
don't go to laundrysauce.com.
You're going to laundrysauce.com. Super fun. I think the reason this matters, though, is that advertising can be an asset that you're building of awareness and interest, or it can be like coal that you just burn and it goes away. This brand, when they finally went into retail, killed it, right? If they'd done it day one, they wouldn't have. But a couple years in, a lot of views behind campaigns like this, even if you don't buy it now, it kind of like rents a little space in your mind where you're like, you know what? If I see it for $25 at Target, I'll buy it. And so I just want you to feel, though, like if you're a challenger brand, you don't have the luxury of doing it the way the other guys play. There are a couple other examples of different ways of doing these arcs. Okay, actually, I ran into a friend of mine out there from Vincero, who Aaron back there. I remember Tim was in an ad, and he did one of these. Hold on, which one was it? It was I think it was the straight offer approach, where he was just like, "Are you looking for a high quality watch that looks expensive for under $200?" And it like immediately qualified the audience, right? So there's like the straight offer option of this. There's been people that will use like a trial offer for it, and then the product demo. Brett shared the Arctic video. It's incredible, and it's so well done. I think another piece to this that I think most people, it's like, oh, how do you get to a consistent result where, not everything we do is a home run, but like enough of it happens where we have consistent success, and it's all the time and energy it takes before we actually write anything. It's creating the concept. Why is someone going to actually care to watch this? Like, we don't just start with a script. It's like, what is the context, the story we're trying to create that's going to make you want to stick around? And there's a couple really quick, I want you to, like, as you watch these examples, I want you to see some of these things in here. So one of the big things I see, if like I'm like studying other brands, other agencies, a lot of times they'll have like a really cool starting opening moment, and then the energy drops, and it's like, oh, we earned 10 seconds, but then they don't realize you have to keep going. You know, 10 seconds at a time, you got to bring people back into this journey. You always have to be shaking people out of their mindset. They're not there to watch your ad. That's the truth of anything, whether it's the internet, whether it's a radio commercial. They are not there for your advertising, unless you're in the Super Bowl, then in which case you might be. You'll see that we use a lot of face and facial expressions. Not everything we do is person to camera. We've gotten a little bit more into some voiceover driven storytelling, which we'll look at, but we want to see people's faces. We want to keep language simple. We got a 6th grade reading level across the country. Obviously, different demographics and different audiences are going to have different reading levels, but we want to make it easy. And then a lot of our longer form stuff does bring in validation. So, do you have reviews, clinical trials, things that make people feel really confident about their purchasing? And then finally, all decisions are emotional. So it can feel like we're building on logic, but the logic is just there to make you feel good about a decision you're making emotionally anyway. So let's break down some of these ads. You're going to feel those opening hooks, how long it might take. You'll feel a sense of the education and entertainment. And then you may also feel what we call pattern interrupts. They feel like random moments that just break up the monotony of the way we're doing it. So, this is great. Where's Tom? Tom, there we go. So we made this ad with Tom for Works. It's still one of my favorite openings of all time. It's actually something that I reference back to quite a bit because the woman does what's called a self-expressive benefit. She pulls you in. Like, are you the kind of person who's like this? And it's like, if the answer is yes, you're leaning in.
Do you want a perfect lawn? Does a sloppy yard make you want to just... Me too. Yard work is hard work, but it doesn't have to be. This is the GT Revolution, a 3-in-1 trimmer, edger, and mini mower that makes yard perfection easy. Your old grass trimmer doesn't cut it.
This sucks, and I'm gray.
Of course you are. Your tools are outdated and awkward while you're trying to be efficient and precise. But the GT is lightweight and powerful, like a pillow that knows karate. It's so light and easy, even my Nana can use it.
I came to cut grass and chew bubblegum. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
All right. I love that. And what's interesting, I remember Tom found us, him and Bragg found us because their business took off really, really big and really fast on television using 30-minute infomercials. And so they realized, like, oh, you guys are kind of just like making the infomercial of the internet era. Like, you're doing this in 2 or 3 minutes, but we've been doing this for decades, right? Getting people who had no interest in something to all of a sudden be like, you know what? That GT Revolution, that thing's a shit. And it is. It's sold very, very well. This is our most successful campaign ever. And one of the things that's most interesting is also the longest one. I'm not going to show you the whole thing. It's a 5-minute edit. It's a mashup of a bunch of different pieces that we had done. This singular asset literally grew this brand by tens of millions of dollars in just months. And what you'll feel, though, once you feel it, is a lot of times it's hard to take the senses. Like, we're used to touching fabric, laying on a mattress, smelling something. It's hard to convey that through the screen. And this does a really great job of like entertaining people, hyping up the product, hyping up the benefit, and making you really curious to try it.
You're not a dish. You're a man. Most name brand bars and body washes you rub on your skin are classified by the FDA as synthetic detergent. It's not even real soap. Start treating your body to the natural, nourishing, lathery goodness of Dr. Squatch soap. Get ready to step out of the shower feeling alive.
That smells really good. Smells like my guy's cologne.
Okay.
It smells really good, yeah. Really
good?
Sexy. Oh, that smells really good.
I would use it, but like if a guy smelled like that too, I'd be like, ugh.
If my man was wearing this, I would be all over him.
It's natural. It's kind of like being in a forest.
I would use this on myself.
Way better than like the regular store-bought soap.
I'm talking about natural, nourishing, cold-pressed, hand-cut soap for men.
So this is what we would call pattern interrupt, right? I think the thing that's interesting about pattern interrupt is, like, have you ever been in a movie and you're like waiting around during the credits and then they like show you like a little extra thing? It's like the same idea in advertising. If that just kept going on with more and more people reacting to the scent, the commercial's over. You're on to something else. So kind of treating you to something random, something fun, kept people around for 5 minutes, kept people buying. This group, Dossier, just sold this year, I believe. And this was another one of our really, really big success stories for YouTube. And this was an interesting one because they were doing this interesting where they're walking the line of like they are a perfume that is being sold for much less than the name brand, but they don't want to be seen as a knockoff. And it was very important that one of their biggest audiences was actually gifting. And so very, very interesting line to walk. And so we knew we wanted to do something that was still was entertaining, but also still had an elegance about it. And this really threaded the line well and did very well for them.
Sick of designer brands keeping your favorite scents out of reach?
Oh, darling, that scent was just made for you. At least a richer version of you.
You deserve better. This is Dossier. Luxury quality scents at a price you can afford. Because guess what? Fragrance can't be patented. So your favorite scent doesn't belong to a brand. With Dossier, it belongs to you. For the cost of a single bottle of this designer brand, you can get all this. We've got over a dozen different scent categories for men and women. From posh aquatic to floral palettes to luscious woodsy aromas. All inspired by the iconic scents you know and love. By brands like Chanel, Creed, Tom Ford, and so many more. We dare you to smell the difference.
So, and I think this is an important thing to point out here. a lot of these brands, it's like this is the most they have ever invested in creative ever, and by a long shot, right? Because the problem is like they were selling tons of product through Meta Images, through UGC, but they didn't have a way to actually tell their story in a way that if you actually watch this, buy the product, now you are a salesperson for the brand. You can be like, oh, did you know that scent can't be patented, and that's why they can do this? Now you're smart. You're not using a knockoff. You're actually like, oh no, I know more than most people, right? It's a pretty subtle, but it's a pretty big shift. And when you have a story like that, obviously you cut it up. It's an asset. You use it in so many different ways. But what it allows people to do is not get stuck with a one-channel plateau, and that's the saddest thing when I get a call from someone and they're just like, oh my gosh, my brand's at 60 million, 100 million, but like I'm just like backpedaling and I didn't start other channels soon enough. It's a tough place to be, and luckily they started this, sub $20 million, and were able to grow it and sell it for over 9 figures. Pretty Litter is another one that sat in this audience. This guy named Jimmy. I was like, dude, when are we going to do something together? We did something together, and it performed in the top 1% of all advertising for the category from iSpot TV. So it was interesting. We actually made it for YouTube, but it ended up doing so well, it became a big part of their television strategy. And then we're doing 3 more campaigns this year. I think this is also very interesting. When we did the testing, they show like second by second how people are reacting to things. People love the blue poop. I'm like, it's one of those things. I know it's like the strangest thing, but a lot of times these are the type of decisions you have to make when it comes to advertising, and it's like, they were like, oh my gosh, like do we put poop in there? Like, oh my god, and it's like, and now they're like, we love the poop because everyone loves the poop. I want to show you this here in a second.
For moi?
Claude, you can talk?
I've always had the gift of gab, Nancy, but now you can understand. With Pretty Litter, the odor-neutralizing, long-lasting, health-indicating kitty litter that's simply the most luxurious way to bury my poopies and my peepees. Nancy, please, you mustn't watch.
It's like I can finally understand my cat.
Yes, now we see eye to weird, round pupiled eye.
Pretty Litter's fresh approach has transformed our space. I can finally have guests over again.
Ugh, but must we? Ooh, the crystals trap odor and absorb moisture, which brings us to the Pou de Gras.
I only have to scoop the poop and mix the rest, which makes it last up to twice as long as clumping clay. Pretty Litter was developed with veterinarians.
I'm not going to the fucking vet, Nancy!
It helps me monitor potential health problems just by changing color.
Are you saying that now I pee rainbows? Toby the link for the only litter you want to look at.
All right. I believe this is a recorded session. I'm gonna have to show my mom that reaction to that joke, because she pulled me aside and she's like, must your advertising have a bleeped cuss word? And I was like, it works, Mom. I know. I love that joke. As I mentioned, it was really, really cool just to have a third party. We didn't ask for them to test this. iSpot TV went and grabbed the 30-second spot. And these are, just for the sake of it, these 3 are all Pretty Litter ads. And the honestly, I couldn't tell. Oh, there we go. I honestly don't know all the ACE scores and everything else, but it performed the top 1% of all advertising put through their system. And again, was primarily made for YouTube. And then we've been doing a lot more of this recently. It's a really fun kind of storytelling vehicle where a lot of stuff I've shown you has been like very person to camera. Whereas in this case, we started doing some things that are more voiceover driven, but still have those moments of pattern interrupt to them. It's so important to have them. And I also I use this term lovingly, but you have to ask yourself in this case, like, what are we really selling? And there's a lot of what I think people would refer to as food porn in this ad, because it's a product that is completely flavorless. It's a protein that you can add, and So we wanted to show all of the incredible things that you can add it to, and it turns out that people like seeing that, and that's why they're buying it. The other thing we noticed about this more voiceover driven format is it also seems to be working well on Meta, which makes a little bit of sense to me because on YouTube you're more likely to have your audio on. Meta, it's very visual. Okay, here we go.
This is the world's first protein that tastes completely and utterly like
nothing.
Welcome to For All Nutrition, the world's first mixable, shakeable, blendable, bakeable whey protein that tastes like
nothing.
Nailed it. See, when we were developing For All, we realized that a lot of whey proteins taste like
something.
We thought the best way to help everyone get their daily protein might just be
nothing.
We started with the cleanest European grass-fed whey protein, and that's it, because we knew better than to include the additives and fillers other brands use. Turns out, purity tastes a lot like
nothing.
So you can add 25 grams of protein to just about anything without ruining your vibe or your recipe. The secret ingredient is that there are no secret ingredients. Just kidding. It's love. The secret ingredient is love. Sorry, Noni. Simply mix it, shake it, blend it, or bake it in. And For All makes it easy to get your ooey, your gooey, your spicy, your saucy, your creamy, your steamy, your sweets, your treats, all protein-packed and delicious. It's truly nutrition for all. For All is so pure that we've even made the world's first protein water. And guess what? It tastes just like
water.
Because why have just water when you can have protein water? Click the link to discover how deliciously flavorless nutrition can be.
So, was a big fan of that format. I mean, we're showing off how versatile the product is. We're showing off how tasty it is, even though it's flavorless. It's a really interesting format to advance a storyline, and you could feel all the pattern interrupts. You kind of kept expecting the nothing, and then he goes, it tastes like water, or that little moment with Noni. Those moments are really important because they break up that pattern. I think this is the last one I'm going to share here today. So, Groons, as I mentioned, a massive success story for us. I think one of the they went from 0 to 300 million in revenue in, I want to say 2.5 years. One of the pieces that most people don't know about this story, and I honestly couldn't even tell until they sold, was that there's a lot of moments in brands' journeys where it may have never been blank. It would have never done blank. Groons was running into very high CPMs on Meta early on. They put assets on YouTube, and the people running the media turned them off, said they don't work. And we got on a call with them, and we started asking them questions. Asked them to, hey, can you look at what it did to your branded search, direct website visits, and you could just see this like massive, just mountain of people that had gone there, and as soon as they turned it off, had disappeared. And so from about 20 million in revenue to 150 million in revenue, over half of their ad spend went to Google and beyond. That was how transformative figuring out how to run YouTube is. And I'll play the first 15 seconds of this.
Getting all your daily nutrients is hard work. But nutrition gaps in your diet are inevitable. But there's an easier way to fill them. Meet Groons. Gruns. The snackable, packable wellness gummy that packs the comprehensive nutrition you need into this guy right here. Groons loads a complete serving of fruits, veggies, adaptogens, vitamins, minerals.
Okay. I'm going to have to skip this one. I think it was the last one. This is going to be my final thought to share. Let me see. I'll end on this one. The two biggest reasons that people fail to get out of the stratosphere is, one, they don't have the right creative. I mean, it's fair. Creating creative for YouTube is a very specific mindset. You can't just throw up anything. I think we felt that today. It's like, okay, what you might be able to get away with on another channel, a static, UGC, it's just not going to drive the user behavior on YouTube. But, and I think Cody said this up here earlier, Brett says it, really the biggest issue is that people expect the channel to work or react like some other channel they have. So let's call it, usually it's maybe they're comparing it to Meta, and they're like, oh man, you know, my Meta CPA says it's $30, and my Google one says $80. Like, how could I possibly spend money on Google? And what we find is naturally the user behavior is just so different. People are not clicking on the ad. In fact, I think the click-through rates are like minuscule in comparison. I know for me, I see an ad, I'm going to the website or I'm going to Amazon, right? It's like I see the ad on YouTube. I'm not shopping there in particular, but it is reaching me. I'm seeing it, and I'm taking action on it. And so that break in attribution can mess with everything. And the number of brands that have figured out, usually what we tend to find is they figure out their YouTube number. I talk to various brands and they're like, okay, we treat YouTube a little bit differently. We understand that it's going to be 2.5 times higher in platform than blank. Or they do, holdout tests. There's a variety of ways to do it, but just know these brands I'm showing you that did hundreds of millions of dollars in sales using YouTube did not see better numbers than they did on other channels. They just started to realize like, oh, I have to adjust my expectations because the way people are acting and reacting are totally different. And you want to be working with people, I think is really important, who understand the difference. They understand if it's performing well and understand what to look at. That's a good example of the data. And this is one of my favorite. This is my final exam question. This is what makes me sad because we have. I think we've had probably 6 or 7 brands who have told us it didn't work, and then they come back to us years later and they're like, "Oh, we had someone else run it, and it made us tens of millions of dollars." I'm like YouTube is not something to figure out how to run on your own for the first time. I'm just gonna flat out say it. It's just not. It's not an out-of-the-box easy thing. I got this email from someone, and they were like, hey, I want you to look at this report from my media team and tell me, like, how is it doing? Like how come it, is it working? Is it not? And I read through this email. I'm like, okay, the 30-second versions, the 15-second versions. I was like, well, where's the 90-second versions of it? And they're like, oh, they didn't run them. They said that's too long. It's too long for YouTube, right? Like that's typically what we see is it's like you put the creative into the wrong hands and you're going to get a result that you're disappointed with. It's that real. And then finally, the easiest way to get started on YouTube is split screen UGC. Brett shared some of this. I'll play myself off with one final piece from...
These laundry sauce pods make my clothes smell like heaven. I'm in heaven. I used to hate doing laundry until I tried laundry sauce pods. Laundry sauce is the only laundry detergent designed to keep your clothes smelling sophisticated all day. The scents are delicious and hypnotic, but at the same time, it's never overpowering like some perfumes or colognes can be. No artificial dyes, just raw cleaning power. Go pick some up right now at laundrysauce.com.
I mean, almost all of you have the assets to make that coming out of today. So it requires all of that same, it has to have that hook. Having the dual screen has, our ADHD brains are like, ooh, there's more stuff going on. That works. All right, that's all I got for you today. I just want to thank everyone who showed up and sponsored this event to make it free to so many brands that are looking to do their thing. So thank you. And I'm not going to be going too far because I got Bill Rahm coming up in a little bit. Duggan, do I transition straight to him? Yeah. Sweet. Let me grab Bill Rahm. So... Oh, grab that mic. We got hand mics today, Bill. I will, if it's okay, if I can introduce you, Bill. Yeah. No, we want to sit down. So Bill and his partner Josh are building one of the fastest growing apparel brands in the U.S. In fact, I would say it's growing so fast that they don't even have time to talk about what they're doing. So I appreciate that you're here today, Bill. The brand is Baseball Lifestyle 101. And if you have a kid that plays baseball, if you've been to a baseball stadium, and if not, if you just go to their website and then you just start looking around, it's like every single kid between probably 5 and 18 years old has 7 articles of clothing. And they're doing, I don't know if you're going to share specifics, but I truly think they're the next $1 billion plus apparel brand. And it's just a matter of time. So it means a lot that you're here with us today, Bill, and can't wait for you to drop some knowledge bombs.
Very excited to be here. And yeah, we'll do about $220 million this year in sales across a lot of distribution. Next year, anywhere between 340 and 400 million, depends on wholesale expansion, some things there. So really excited to talk to everybody, answer questions. Jacques' been a part of my journey, so
and Bill, let's chat this, because it's easy to flash to this moment and because I mean it's an incredible moment the brand's going through. But what was the moment where things really broke out for you guys? Because it was not like, hey, you turned this whole thing on and it just went like, or maybe it did have the potential to just go. But what, as the brand was going, when were you like, oh, this is really starting to take off?
So I think we're bootstrapped, and this was the first go for us, right? My business partner, Josh, is still only 29. And I say that because we started Baseball Lifestyle as a clothing and apparel company 10 years ago. 2016 was when we first started to sell clothes. Before that, we were an Instagram account. So we started as media and selling ad space. And again, if you have ever liked, commented, and subscribed, we might have invented that back in 2013. And Adidas was paying us $10 for a post. And you know, you start seeing companies like that and you're like, okay, why are they doing that? Let's try to sell some clothes. We've gotten to the point that we're making $5,000 for a single post. Like, what do we think that is? So we launched our website end of 2016. 2017, no ads, no anything. Melissa, our first employee, our CMO today, Josh, my partner, they were the only people really working on the brand every day. We did about 880K just through the organic Instagram. So the following year, 2018, we went to an event, the College World Series, so be where your people are. And we got shut down by the fire marshal like 3 or 4 times because we had too many people in our space. And I pulled Josh aside and I was like, do you want to be an influencer or do you want to be a brand? Because we kind of got to make a choice here, because I think that there's an opportunity. So we did that, and then we were growing nice every year. We were growing 30 to 50% every year, and we never had cash. If you're running a brand and you're like, why am I getting bigger and I never have money? Everybody goes through it. In my past life, I was a strength and conditioning coach. And
See, I did not know that.
Yeah, trained professional athletes, New York Jets tight end Jeremy Ruckert, trained him since he's 13. I decided to pivot careers. It's working out for me. But we hired a fractional CFO in 2022. And he ran through our numbers. He had been the CFO at Shinesty. They're about $50-60 million company. And he looked at our numbers. He's like, you guys are making $60 in profit on every first purchase. On every first purchase. And he's like, spend. So he built us the whole financial model. We had clarity. We had confidence for the first time. During that 2020 COVID, we were a smaller business, didn't know. We didn't want to kill ourselves by overextending, so you don't do too much. Supply chain got ruined. We actually opened up our own screen printing business. We still, to this day, do about 10 to 15% of our own screen printing on $200 million plus in revenue. And then 2021, iOS 14.5, you're blind. I don't want to spend money. I don't know where to go. And there's just so much when you don't know as a founder and it's your first go. And financial literacy is so important. And once we recognized that we had that, that November, we did $550K in the month of November for us. And it's like, okay, we can open the door. Then we did $5 million the next year, 5 to 35, 35 to 135, 135 to 220 plus. And then next year, 340 to 400. And I realized it was big when we became a meme. And if you've ever heard of Mason 6'7", if you have kids, if you know what 6'7" is, you're welcome. The mascot for Alabama football team was wearing our shorts. Aiden Ross, big influencer, he was fighting and rolling around with Khabib wearing our shorts. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you're part of culture at that point.
Yeah, like bigger than just the brand, and it was crazy.
Yeah. So, look, I want to, I guess, double stamp a couple things you said there. One is understanding your own math. It is the number one thing that I see holding people back, because there's so many different ways to look at a business and to look at, I guess it's much easier when it's absolutely first purchase profitable. But sometimes, like, Grunes was not first purchase profitable. Like, Dr. Squatch was very early on, but then they realized, like, oh, we could grow way faster if we are willing to not make money on the first purchase, but know that over the course of a year, we're definitely going to make money on a new customer. And so those are obviously more consumable goods. I want you to talk a little bit about how, because you don't have a consumable good, and I already know the answer, so maybe I'm leading the witness, but like, how did you understand beyond the first purchase how much people, like a cohort of people, were worth to the brand? How did you start seeing beyond even just the first purchase? And what was that? What was that transition like?
Yeah, so like in the process of building out even the financial model as we were kind of looking at it back in 2022, part of that was also building a more robust cohort analysis and recognizing what are our people doing over time. So like the other side of it was, we were spending $46 to acquire a customer. They were having a $100 average order value, and we're like, okay, so you're making close to $60 here, like spend. But then when we looked at it, it's also, first year they were worth $220. And so now it's like, okay, now you're playing a different math game in general. And what we started to look at was, how do you bring them back? Where are you going there? Today, our cohorts from July of last year to July this year, every new customer who purchased last year is now worth $400 for us in their first 12 months. So that now, once we hit a mark, usually there's about a little bit of a relaxed period, but then it becomes the normalization. Like by the end of this year, every cohort that we acquired it from July of last year through December will be worth over $400 per new customer.
It's incredible.
And understanding that math like gives you a more robust ability to be aggressive with channel choices, leaning into creators, buying different products, trying different products, doing different things. So like, again, financial literacy matters. It can be boring, but knowing your numbers, because I think that's the very big key, right? There are famous people who talk, right? I have nothing to sell anybody, but there are big people who talk, and it's like, you're not telling everybody that you got $20 million in funding to spend on ads.
Yep.
You're not telling everybody that, yes, you don't have any credit card debt, but your manufacturer lets you float 12 months without paying them anything. Like, those are really happening to some brands that are out there that everybody knows and loves, and you got to run your race. Right? It's important to have conversations with people who are doing it so that you can understand what your math looks like and you can get a comparison. The one that helped me was like Nick Shackelford and them, like a couple of years ago when they were talking about Breeze, right? Their drink company. And they were putting like publicly, like, here are the numbers. And me and Josh, my partner, were looking at each other and we're like, we're beating the shit out of them, and everybody's telling me that they're doing great. So like, we're not pushing hard enough. I think some of that is also good, right, to keep you in check. But run your own race is super key.
So specific to YouTube, because you guys are very active. You mentioned, you started essentially as a media company. You guys put out a lot of incredible organic content on your channel. I'm going to ask this in two parts. The first part being, what are things that you did when the brand was, we'll say, between the $10 and $50 million range that you're really glad you invested in and did with the team? And maybe what are some things that, if you could go back in time at that point, what would you wish you might have known that you know now? So it's a two-part question. What are you glad you did? And what do you wish that maybe you would have known on hindsight?
I'm going to go in reverse order of how you asked it.
Hey, you're the boss.
So, one, there's a lot of luck in every game, right? And I think that what most people don't want to talk about is how much luck is there. The challenge is what people think is lucky is usually not the actual luck, right? And I think that we've been lucky that I think we did every single thing in the year 2015, 2016. We did every single thing that a company in 2026 would need to do to be successful. So when I think about what we did, like I told everybody, because again, my past life, I was strength and conditioning coach. I was on a board of people for muscle and fitness. I'm fat now, but I wasn't then. And I worked with professional athletes, all this stuff. I spoke at other conferences. And one of the things, this guy, Pat Rigsby, he owns like a company teaching people how to grow gyms. If you've heard of Alex Hormozy, he took all of Pat's stuff and turned it into something else. But Pat was like, grow an email list, because you own your email list. So every strength and conditioning coach was like, build an email list, send a weekly newsletter, get into that. So I wrote for websites, bodybuilding.com, all these things, built an email list, and I would hit the email list every week, and I would get a new client from that, a parent, another kid. They'd forward it to somebody. And I made it every week. So when we were in 2015, before we ever did anything, Melissa and Josh, when we got products from companies, we wouldn't keep them. Like Josh was still playing baseball. He's 15, 16 years old at the time. And we were giving them away and saying, hey, like, comment, subscribe, join our mailing list. And I said, like, Instagram might disappear one day, but your mailing list will be with you forever. And we were doing that 11 years ago, right? So like, I can't tell everybody start an email list as fast as you possibly can, but the best time to do it is today. Same thing. I said to Josh when he had 5,000 followers on the account, he wanted to sell clothes. I said, not the time. Let's just build an audience, post. Josh, to his credit, that one of the things he is more resilient than everybody else. He posted every hour on the hour from noon to midnight for 5 consecutive years, every single day, never missed, right? But then you get to the point that we now have 2 million plus subscribers across socials. We have all these different things. Like the time to start building your social profile is today. Posting content is today. So we posted content. We leaned into content very early. Content was part of what we did. A mailing list was part of what we did. In-person activations in community, we've been doing that stuff since 2016, 2017. We were setting up tents. We were doing spin to win wheels where you could get stuff, right? We were doing how hard can you throw velocity challenges. We were doing all of that stuff in 2016, 2017. Today, I'd tell you all, do as many in-person activations as you possibly can. If you don't know what Fanatics Fest is, Fanatics Fest, Target just sponsored it because they want to get more into sports. Stick Sporting Goods puts a huge activation into it. Fanatics pays tons of money for people like Speed and Logan Paul and Jake Paul and all these influencers to come out and do activations so people can do it with them. And for Gen Z, activations is like the number one thing that they go to now. It's not sporting events. It's not concerts. It's activations like Fanatics Fest. And Alpha is going to follow a similar suit, probably even more so, because they're going to be the group that wants to reject AI. They're going to want to lean into a life that's real, and they're not going to be one who's going to be excited by a fake one. So we've been doing a lot of that, and I think those are the things that help us today feel like we have an unfair advantage.
So I know you all specifically, you mentioned you make a lot of creative. You guys also have a very active organic YouTube channel. As you have now, I mean, the brand is going through a really big moment where you have been almost primarily direct to consumer for years, and then in the last year started also not only getting into retail. I know you launched a couple retail locations. How has it changed the way that you and your team look at and measure specifically YouTube? Since we're here at Google and YouTube, there's so many different ways to look at it. I know you also have started investing a little bit into television. How have you all started to change the way that you think about and budget for and prioritize that channel?
So as time went on in our social media journey and where we've gotten to, a few years ago, one of the biggest initiatives, I think it was 2024, we were trying to say, okay, where's next? What's the thing? And you look at, again, Mr. Beast, and you look at people who are building streaming audiences and things like that, like Kai Cenat and other people, and long-form content and things that didn't disappear, right? TikTok was going through its moment and it was having this great success, and everybody was very excited from 2018 until probably last year, right? Now it's still big, but it's different big. We looked at YouTube and we were like, YouTube never dies. The content you make will have a permanent shelf life. You put a link in it and it goes viral in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It could go viral every year. I have a piece of content that we made 4 years ago. It goes viral every April, right? Every April it starts to print new subscribers for us. So like my team's effort also just doesn't get wasted. And there's a lot of effort you put in to make a really cracked out TikTok, and it disappears in 18 minutes. And it's like you had a viral post that no one remembers. But on YouTube, they give you the opportunity to repeat and get more at-bats with the same piece of content over and over and over again. So we looked at that, and that's been a big thing. I think we're about 80,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel now. We do a bunch of different things. We've tried a lot of different stuff. But as we've gotten into the retailers, like I'm in Dick's Sporting Goods. Again, I was just talking in the back with Ezra and a few people. And right now, per square foot, Baseball Lifestyle sells more per square foot than Nike and Adidas.
Oh,
at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Let's go.
So
I'm hyping you up. I'm like, let's go.
So when I look at that, one, it's cool to be a trend, and I've got way less square feet than them. But the reality is that one person's margin and opportunity is another person's business. So I have to start thinking about how am I protecting my brand and how am I staying at the bleeding edge of things. So YouTube for me is the future, right? And it has been since 2024. And since 2024, I'm pretty sure the stat they tell us every year, the #1 streaming service in the world is YouTube, right? So it's not Netflix, it's not Amazon Prime, it's not Apple TV, it's YouTube. So if you're not on YouTube, you're missing on massive exposure. I think there's also a bunch of different stats. I'm not a Google plant, I promise you guys. I do believe in the platform a lot. There's a wild amount of people who are not on social media who are on YouTube, and they do not have social, but they watch YouTube every day. And I'm sure the team over from Google can give that stat somewhere. It's like 30% or something like that of people who are cross-platform are not on anything but YouTube. So that just gives like a huge advantage. And then it's what game do I not know how to play? And who do I remember from a YouTube ad? I go, okay, Dollar Shave Club. And I go, Dr. Squatch. And I go, all right, who did Dr. Squatch? It was Jacques. Okay. So let me tweet at Jacques a bunch and see if I can get information out of him and do stuff. And Jacques is now doing 3 commercials for us this year. We've expanded into linear. This month, I'm going to spend about $600,000 on linear and connected TV. And that is only going to grow. But 2 years ago, I think we first started to talk, and I just wasn't ready. And what I realized was, again, Sean Frank from Ridge had said, whatever you spend on a creative, you have to be willing to spend 10 times that in ad spend, like a rough idea. And it's not a holy grail, right? It doesn't mean exactly that. But if I was going to spend, 6 figures on a commercial and do it right, I had to be willing to spend 7 figures in ad spend behind that singular idea. And when I looked at it, I didn't have the distribution where I felt I could take one thing and go all the way. But the only place I really felt like I could do it, and I could do it the way that we've done the rest of our scale, was YouTube. It had the ability for me to have TV. It had me YouTube proper. I could get other distribution. I could understand the metrics, the numbers, and the things. And it felt like the gateway drug for figuring out linear, which is an entire other monster.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. I want to make sure we leave a couple minutes for questions, but
I'm staying for the Q&A later. So if you
oh, that's right. That's right.
I'm the only one staying.
Thank the Lord. All right. All right. Okay. Well, I know we'll have plenty of questions, but I feel like you all are you're incredible advertisers, right? You in particular, you have an advertising mind, and so not only are you getting in these channels, but you're also really starting to lean into people who have influence in that space. The ad that we're just coming out with has King of JUCO, Eric Sim, and then we have okay, all right, and then we have your friend Jackson Olson from you knew him, I think maybe before he was you helped him become a Savannah Banana, and he's going to be on the upcoming Dancing with the Stars. He'll be part of the Q4 campaign. So you all are also, you're not just investing in content, you're investing in culture and in connection. What does that look like? I mean, I just feel like you made a decision that this was going to be your moment. We'll say probably about this time last year. What was the cascading, like what gave you the confidence? Was it retail expansion? What was the thing where you're like, you know what, we're gonna do these partnerships, we're gonna go bigger, we're gonna invest in these channels, we're gonna start looking at new metrics beyond ROAS, things like brand awareness. What gave you the confidence to finally start doing those things?
Yeah, so I think like we talked about a little bit, I think distribution was part of it. Being an advertiser, being a marketer, knowing that I needed to know where I was going to run these ads was one. Two, we felt, again, as a company that was an influencer for all intents and purposes, and we are natural creators, right? Like everybody on our team has made some piece of content. Like I'm even like the main piece in like a 1 million view video like that we have on YouTube. Like we've all made content, and Jackson Olsen, his first ever brand deal before anybody knew him as a Savannah Banana, he was doing content with us and we were doing different
He's your Michael Jordan.
For sure. In a lot of ways, right? King of Juco, he has 1 million subscribers on his YouTube, almost 2 million on his TikTok. These guys in the past would have naturally just been doing stuff with us, and we were getting away with never paying influencers for forever because we were just making content with them, and our audience was bigger than all the influencers. Even today, like 90% of influencers in our space have a smaller social following than us. We will get over 1 billion organic views this year, right? So like I don't need the influencers, but what they allow me to do is I needed to start storytelling to different people, right? I couldn't just keep telling the same story that I'd gotten good at telling. I needed to open up and I needed to expand that I was telling slivers of a story to different places. And King of Juco hits a more teen audience. Jackson, the millennial mom, thinks he's cute, right? Like kids want to be him when they grow up. He's fun, he's interesting, he's got all these different things. And that opened that door. And then why we needed to go to bigger commercials and stuff like that is, like I had to think about Dick's Sporting Goods. I have to think about major retailers, people, but we're doing a collaboration right now. We're going to have cleats and sneakers and a bunch of stuff with Adidas. So Adidas baseball.
Yeah. Do you mind me asking about that? Because I actually saw that. Where did I saw that either online. I saw that online. And I hadn't even had a chance to ask you, how the heck does that happen?
Adidas reached out, said, we need your help. And that's crazy. And we were like, if you let us make a shoe, we will do stuff with you. And they were like, cool, you can have a shoe.
Wow.
And yeah, for us, again, we want to reach into the teen market. But again, how we make content, and like going back to everything else, like the best way to get other like actual great relationship with influencers, if you want the sneakiest trick to not spend his money on an influencer campaign, is actually build guts internally that you guys know how to make content, because they can see that you're real and that you speak the lingo. Like when I show up and Eric Sim, like me and him, like he's a big personality and so am I. Like I'm being more professional on stage than I am in normal life. And he and I are like having fun and making fun of each other and like being in a dugout. And our team recorded it, made like a behind the scenes video that we put out. And it's fun. And he is in Slack groups with us and talking and laughing and knows me, and I know his daughter. And our CMO, Melissa, she knew when his wife's birthday was, sent her a birthday cake, right? Because he was away. And she was like, hey, I'm going to send a birthday cake and flowers and all these things. And like, we generate these real relationships with these people, but we make content with them. And then it really just it's not as expensive. But we wanted to plant the flag that as we're a bigger company, I can't let an Eric Sim with his 1 million subscribers and his 1 million on TikTok and his personality and his culture and what he does, I can't let it go to Nike. I can't let it go to Adidas, because I know they felt me steal from them over the last couple of years. And I know that they're now investing a lot more money in the space. So it's about making some of these reasonable bets. And Adidas collab in general, it is the fact that we have him as an athlete. They have him for some on-field stuff. There was crossover. There was good community involvement. And there was more for us to do. But it's a growing thing. It's a growing process. You're always looking for the next fun thing, exciting thing. And like, I like asymmetrical returns. that's like counter to what the world had been for the longest time. It was, you spend $1, you got to know that you made 3 back or you're in trouble. And we're now to the point where I'm like, I'm okay to lose money for 60 days because I'm going to 10X in 90. And I think that as you start to look at stuff, you have to know that if you are on good footing and you know your numbers and your metrics, like where are the moments that you can take that asymmetrical risk to create asymmetrical return and win bigger. Otherwise, it's paint by numbers and you're all going to get to the same place. And that's a tough place to keep fighting every day.
That's a perfect place to wrap up this individual session, but there'll be a chance to ask questions later. And can we get a round of applause for Bill for bringing all the knowledge? Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.